out here, you know, in the neighborhood, you know, just little things. You know, it's very quiet, you know, quiet up here. You know, it's where I feel like I belong. You know, these types of cars belong out here, you know, out in like the suburbs of Philly. You know, I mean, this car right here, I don't know about, but you know, yeah. All right, guys, so today we're gonna be giving an initial impressions video about my 765 Spider. This is more from like an owner's side of things, right? So most people, most of the reviews I should say are done from people that don't necessarily own them. They drive them for a day, a few hours, and then that's it. So coming from someone who's owned several McLarens, I've owned two 600 LTs, two 675 LTs, and one 720. So coming from someone who loves McLaren and has owned these and daily driven them and all this stuff, I feel like I can give you guys a pretty good representation of what this thing can actually do and what it can't. And there's a couple things that I'm kind of miffed about, but we'll talk about those. And you're gonna see, like, during this whole review video, you're gonna see me driving and just all this other stuff, but whatever. We'll talk about all that. So I feel like let's just go ahead and deep dive with some of the things that I don't necessarily, you know what? Yeah, but I don't necessarily like. We'll go with that. McLaren, don't hate me for this. You know I love you guys. You guys have always been so good to me. You know, I appreciate everything you've done, but there's some things I just don't like. Coming from someone who's owned two 600s, the 600 has the best sounding exhaust of a McLaren, period, end of discussion. Like, is the top mount exhaust, fantastic. Sounds so good, especially when you have a Spider. You even have to let the top down, you just let the rear window down, and it's just all the things that you want to hear. It's like a fire-breathing dragon. This, by comparison, you guys are actually gonna get to hear that when we're driving. It sounds very muted. Now I can get to it. So this handles so well, it's so smooth, it's very compliant over the bumps. Look at that, you can get off in here real tight. Steering feels great. You know, I'm not breaking the speed limit because we're in Mexico, by the way, and Mexico has no speed limits. You know. All right, there's people coming up. Yeah, don't pull out. We're good. That's variable drift control right there, baby. Let the ass end step out just a little bit. Just enough to excite you, but not enough to kill you, right? So I feel like that was a really good thing that McLaren implemented, starting with like the 720s up until now. Very good, because that in another car, if you had been, let's say, in a Hurricane, a 580-2, you would have ate shit. Even a 675 sounds better than this stock, right? The 675, which I do feel, you know, it's very special. If you guys have ever driven a 675, you'll know what I'm talking about. We're gonna talk about that car actually in a little bit. Even that sounds better. Even that sounds better. Also the styling, like, don't get me wrong, this, I love it. Like, I got the spec of the way I wanted. This is a beautiful car, absolutely beautiful. I love, yo, McLaren, thank you guys so much for letting me spec the car the way I wanted and everything else. You guys are MSO, mwah, fantastic. I'm still very polarized by your design language nowadays, all right? For a while, everyone knew that McLaren had a certain design language, starting with the 650. The P1, I think, is one of the most beautiful cars ever made. It's probably the best looking car McLaren has ever made. Then the 675. The 675 hit that sweet spot for people like me at that point in time who couldn't afford a $1 million hypercar. Just hit it, just right. It's beautiful. Has the right proportions, the dimensions, the front end looks very good. 600, same thing. When they came out with the 720, my biggest damn gripe with that car was the eyes, the sockets. Like, if you look at the front, it looks like a damn shark. Like, it's like weird. I mean, the car is dirty right now because I actually drive it, as I said, but it's weird. Like, the sockets, they're like deep ass eye sockets. And if you look at the new Lamborghini Revuelto, the same thing is happening. The headlights are sunk into that socket. This doesn't look good. You know what it reminds me of? It's like a.
I'm sorry. Back up, baby.
Pero, fíjate.
Oh, good picture, absolutely. Oh, baby.
Here you go. All the things that I do love about this car, just, one of my biggest gripes with the 600 was under heavy braking on the track, it got real squirrely. That ass end got super light, and I'm going to attribute it to it being the Sport Series instead of the Super Series. So if you guys are unfamiliar, the Sport Series, well, now McLaren is no longer doing the Sports Super Series, at least not officially. The Sport Series was like the 570 and the 570S, 570 GT, 540C, all that stuff. And then you had the Super Series, which was the 650, 675, 720, 765. And then you had the, the Hyper Series, which would be, your hypercars, your Senna, your Ultimate Series, which would be the Senna, the P1, the Speedtail, the Elva, things of that nature. So I'm just gonna toss up to maybe it being that chassis. But when you would come in heavy braking, and me, I'm very aggressive on track, so if you guys ever race against me, you guys will know. If you've ever been at Pocono, Palmer, and JMP, you guys know that I like to brake really, really, really late. I'm a total tool when it comes to that, because the faster you can get to that turn, the faster you can get out of that turn, right? So under heavy braking, the brakes would never fade, but the ass end would get kind of squiggly, and it just never made me feel real confident to do so, to push it a little bit further. This, so planted. I mean, slam on the brakes, absolutely fantastic. And it's probably because I optioned the center brakes, all right? So that right there, these big mama jammers right here, definitely helped, save my face in one instance since I've had the car. And I do not regret spending more money for those. Not even a little bit, because they're very, very helpful. Very helpful. I had the upgraded 720 brakes, 720S brakes on my 600s. And, it's probably, again, the chassis, just the way that the car's set up and the wheelbase, but just get kind of squirrely. This, fantastic. One of the biggest gripes I had about the 675, as sweet as that car is, as I feel is almost as perfect as it is, was a turning radius. This solves that and then some. The turning radius on the 675, if you guys have ever driven one, or if you've owned one for an extended period of time, it's a 30-point turn to make a U-turn. 30-point turn to make a U-turn, it's terrible. Like, you're probably gonna die if you gotta make a real quick U-turn and traffic's coming. Like, it's just not cool. Usually you just have to light up the rear wheels. You have to spin it a little bit. Like, really, that's what you have to do. Like, in all honesty, you gotta spin that car a little bit. Spin the ass end around so that way you can make your U-turn, because that 675, the turn radius, atrocious. Really sharp steering rack. But God, that turn radius, like, I have found myself almost getting into an accident more than once with my 675s just because of the turning radius. This obviously fixes it. Fantastic job, McLaren. I love it. Also, one of my biggest gripes was the power steering pump in my 600 LT, because they still use, so McLaren still uses hydraulic steering, which I feel is the way to go. If you haven't figured out how to mimic that feel with electric steering, this, quiet, much quieter. The pumps in my 600s were so loud, like you could just, wee, all the time. I hated it. But the steering feel was fantastic. The steering feel in this is even better than a 675. And I felt the 675 had some of the best steering feel of any car I've ever driven. Now, I'll let you know when I go pick my GT4 RS up. It's up in New York right now. So we're actually gonna take delivery of that, so it's gonna be in another video, so stay tuned for that. Maybe that steering feel is better than this. I don't know, Miles, Miami Miles. He went from a 765 Spider to a GT4 RS. Who knows? He says he loves his 4S, but he seems to be a big P car guy. I'm not. This is my first. My 4S is going to be my first P car, and then my 3RS, and then a 911 ST will be my second and third, and then hopefully my 2RS and 918 replacement, but we'll see, who knows. So yeah, that right there, steering feel, fantastic. You know, brakes, fantastic. Power. One of the things that I did not like about my 600s was they were very laggy. It was like a big turbo 4-cylinder, and you know, you're sitting there waiting, and some of that action, I hate that. I hate that. And it's not terrible. It's not like a big 64, 66 on a 2-liter on like an Evo or something. It's more akin to like a FP Green. You know, not real laggy, but it's definitely noticeable when you put your foot down compared to a stock turbo. The 600 just, no matter what we did, even after being tuned, was still laggy. And the 838T that's across all McLaren's range up until the 720, for whatever reason, just in that particular car was just laggy. I have no idea why. The 675, so smooth all over. So even stock. Tuned, it was just better. The 600 just, I don't know why, it was just laggy. This right here though, fixes all of that. It's power everywhere, where you want it, where you don't want it. Like, this car will get you in a whole lot of trouble. If you guys thought the 720 was a bad mamma jamma, this thing right here absolutely trashes it. Just from having both a 720 and this easily, just due to the shortened gear ratio, more power, and a little bit lighter, this easily just trumps the 720 in every category. And that car pretty much put everybody on notice when it came out. So this, McLaren, you have refined the magic. And I feel like this right here is great. I cannot wait to see what you guys do with your new cars. There's a couple new cars that McLaren has, you know, coming. And if you guys are in the know, you'll know what they are. So hopefully it'll be soon. You'll see those coming to the channel once they're announced and, you know, delivered or whatever. So keep an eye out. Whatever. You know, there's a lot of G-Wagons out here, by the way, out in this area. A lot of soccer moms, you know, a lot of Cayennes, a lot of G-Wagons, whole bunch of Audis. BMW's kind of something that you see here, but not as much. You know, Mercedes, definitely that. I thought I would be seeing more Teslas when I moved out here. I see them, but nah, these are some very conservative folks. They like their gas guzzlers. They like their exotics. They like their Range Rovers. You know, they like their big houses. I mean, so if you're a very liberal person, this probably wouldn't be the area for you. I'm the youngest in my neighborhood and the only black person. So, you know, they're watching me like a hawk. But, you know, we get to talk. Politics is definitely something that I don't think should be discussed in public. But they have no problem talking about it, especially things that tend to concern money. So keep an eye out. But yeah, up until now, this has been like, this right here, like this really takes it to the next level compared to what you guys have put out before, minus the P1, of course, with the hybrid powertrain, which, you know, hopefully get a P1 sometime in the next year. You know, it depends on prices on how they settle. I don't know, John, what do you think? Maybe, yeah. We'll see. I might have to give up a car or two, but I'd be willing to give up the perf. I have a twin turbo perf from Monte, which actually we're going to be documenting because we're almost done twin turbo in that. The trans came back from AMS, we're installing all that stuff, whatever. So I might get rid of that and then get a P1 because I feel like having a P1 would be better than the twin turbo perf. I don't know. What do you guys think? Keep the perf, and, you know, or get rid of it for a P1 because it's going to be very difficult for me to justify spending that much money and then keeping that and then the 4S and the 3RS. It's a whole lot of money flying around. And I ain't got money like that. Like, I'm doing all right, but I can't just be buying, you know, hypercars every other day. Like, it's something got to go. But yeah, so I'm not Brooks from Drag Time, all right? I'm younger. Give me some time, man. The dude got like 10 years on me, all right? If I had 10 more years, then maybe I could have hypercars and a bunch of supercars too, but we'll see. But yeah, so overall, the car is great. You know, I got it in a Spider. Most people are like, oh, why'd you get a convertible? It's so girly, so gay. And guys, being gay nowadays, there's nothing wrong with it. Although I'm not gay, but still, like, get a convertible. I mean, look at that. I like the buttresses on McLarens, and that's why I buy Spiders. Okay, I don't really like the smooth back of the coupes on McLarens. Like, they're too aerodynamic. I like a little hump action. You know what I'm saying? I like the arch. I mean, if you guys are looking at something from the back, don't y'all like a little arch in the back, right? Okay, that's why I get the Spiders. They look good.
A little drag on
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? You know, I like it. I like the, you know, the buttresses. I prefer that look. So yeah, this is like better, you know. And I mean, ain't nothing like, you know, you pull up and it's this right here is gonna. If you're a woman, like, you might want to turn this off right now because it's gonna sound super misogynistic, but whatever. But yo, I'm gonna tell y'all, like, with the top down and you riding around in the city, because Philly's a poor city, so everybody know if you got money, right? Because everybody in Philly's broke for the most part. But you ride around something like that, you got the top down, people taking notice. They're like, oh, especially if it's a, you know, one of them pretty young things too. Ooh, yo, daddy, how you doing? Yo, your summer gonna be lit. So I recommend getting a McLaren Spider. Don't have to be a 765 Spider. It could be any Spider. Get you a 570, you know, Spider. Get you a 720 Spider. Get you a 650 Spider. Whatever. Okay. Just make sure you got a Spider. Because man, when you drop that top, ooh, because it look good. Most people that own businesses, most wealthy people that are not actors or celebrities, most of those people are going to be conservative, mainly because taxes will fuck a business up. So those people are going to be more conservative, more right-leaning. Some of them are kind of rough. They're kind of extreme, but for the most part, they are, you know, they're going to be conservative. They're going to want, you know, their supercars. They're not going to want, you know, all these taxes imposed. They're not going to want people telling them what they can and can't do as far as, you know, like, I don't know, like environmental codes, things of that nature. You know, I mean, I don't mind it, but, you know, I do have some neighbors that are kind of wild with some of the things that they say. I'm like, yo, bro, like, what? Like we neighbors. We ain't like best buddies, man. I don't know if you be saying that type of shit. But yeah, so just, if you guys weren't aware, like, a lot of people in these types of neighborhoods are very conservative. You will have people that, you know, are liberal, but the overwhelming majority of people that you see in these types of neighborhoods are going to be very, you know, very, very conservative. You know, they want to preserve their wealth. They want to keep it, you know, in their bloodline, and they want to pass it down for generations. So the people in this area, by the way, the main line, this is what they call old money. I'm new money. All right, so my money hasn't matured yet. Like, these people, their money has had grandchildren. All right, like, I don't have old money yet. And, you know, my children, they'll have older money, but not old money. Like, this money's been passed down for generations at this point.
Middle-aged money.
Yeah, I'll have, like, my kids will have middle-aged money. These people got old money, long money, the type of money that more than likely will never run out. And, you know, they want to keep that shit that way. So, you know, I recommend finding these types of areas, especially if you want to learn how to better yourself. Find cars and coffees in areas like this that are more affluent, because you're going to meet a lot of affluent people. And I know we're going off topic about the review, but you know, I feel like this is something that can benefit a lot of people. And that's what I did. I started going to cars and coffees with a lot of affluent people. And that's how I learned about business. That's how I learned how to conduct myself in settings like this. And that's really how I found a lot of my mentors, you know, because I'm real big into cars, obviously. And I was able to meet people that, you know, that were able to mentor me and coach me and guide me in a certain thing. So, you know, I definitely recommend you guys do that. You know, whether you're liberal, conservative, you know, straight, trans, gay, it doesn't matter. You want to find people that can help you in all walks of life, because having a mentor will definitely cut the time down in half. If I had found the right mentors earlier in life, I would have got rich probably 5-10 years ago. Actually, like 10 years ago instead of like around 5. You know, I would have been able to cut my time in half. So, you know, never think that you guys are too big to learn anything. Never think that you're too good to learn. You know, number one, I'm constantly trying to learn. Yo, this lady right here, she's forever done. You ain't gotta show her, man. You ain't gotta show her. You know what I'm saying? But she is she's always out walking. Always out walking. Like, she, you know, sweet old lady. Most of my neighbors are very sweet. You know, they're much older, but you know, they're real nice. Like, the old ladies in the neighborhood, all they do is walk their dogs. Like, one of the ladies, she has this 3-legged dog, and it's so dope. The dog, it's such a cute dog. It's a poodle, a little 3-legged poodle, and yeah, and yo, I swear she walks this dog like 5-6 times a day. Cause I mean, they're retired. They ain't got nothing to do. Like, their husbands have been rich for a long ass time. Like, what do they got to do all day? Absolutely fucking nothing.
You do all that extra time, though. You don't have to make any money. You don't do anything to make any money.
Whatever the hell you want. You know, and that's a topic for another video, because I feel like I've had this conversation with women in the OnlyFans agency that I have, and they're like, I don't know, I could never do that. I gotta work. I would get bored. It's like, you guys are thinking about it from a perspective of like you're just sitting at home all damn day.